My name is Jackie Dixon. If you don't already follow me, I run a business, a company called VLX, where I help women become what I call the biblical bombshell, which is a woman who's healthy, holy, and hot because she's on fire for God in every area of her life. So if you're watching this, if you've got a man in your life, happy Father's Day to your dad, maybe your husband if you have kids, or just other men you know, let's celebrate them. But what I actually want to talk about today has nothing to do with father, so we're not going to celebrate them through our topic here. I want to talk about something that I have kind of come up with called redefining the experience. Now, there is maybe a little bit of fatherness in here in that my husband and I helped me come up with this term. We kind of came up with it together because we realized in kind of our mutual desire to be healthier in our lives that we would often go into certain situations where we really struggled to make healthy choices. And we started to realize that it was because of the way we imagined that situation being at its best. So for him, it was, maybe watching a sports game, and that had to mean having a beer or several and having, a big greasy burger and onion rings or fries or something like that. And it was this experience which was not good for his health. And I certainly have my own, and I'll give you a couple examples of them in a minute, but he would tell me, I don't want to go watch this game really, even though I do want to see it because I know I'm going to act like this. And we came to realize that you could kind of parse, and I love using that word because it means separating very, very finely the minute aspects of things. You could parse out what you loved and redefine what that experience looked like so you can enjoy the parts that were good for you and kind of step away from the parts that were not so good for you. So another example that he and I have is when we travel. And sometimes we get into those airport lounges, that you can get in if you've got membership through something. And there's all of this free food and a lot of times an open bar sometimes. Everything's free. And it's so difficult. Maybe you have the same experience if you've ever been at an office birthday party or you've been at somebody's wedding and it's just all this food, all these appetizers and hors d'oeuvres and desserts and an open bar or whatever. And you just have this opportunity to really harm your health in what could be a beautiful experience. And maybe if that's part of your definition of that experience, it's difficult to step away from that. But you can redefine the experience. So if your definition of really enjoying somebody's wedding is eating everything they have that's there for free, eating it in abundance, getting seconds and thirds, having, a lot of alcohol, having, maybe staying up way too late, although it's, you can do that occasionally on a just for a fun evening, but just this whole kind of composite of things that are not at all good for your health, well, you're probably going to feel terrible after that's over. And personally, when I enjoy myself, I want total pleasure. I call it pure pleasure. And it means that there's no hangover in any sense. There's no sugar hangover. There's no alcohol hangover. There's no fatigue hangover. There's no regret hangover. There's no sense of, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Because to me, that keeps it from being pleasurable. When I feel terrible after I've done something, whatever I did was not that great because I want to feel good beforehand, leading up to it, the anticipation. I want to feel good during it, and I want to feel good afterward. I don't want there to be any kind of negative consequences from the way that I act or treat my body. So I'm looking for pure pleasure. And what I've started to do, and my husband has started to do too, and it's really helped us to enjoy so many of the things that we love without any kind of regrets, is to redefine the experience. So my husband, total props to him, is now able to go, and he doesn't choose to do this all the time. You have to choose what you want to choose in the moment, of course. But he will often choose to have a burger and, only eat half and save the rest for later, or maybe skip the bun and have a salad or something. And he can totally enjoy that experience without having any regrets afterward because he's redefined what it means to enjoy it. So I had to do this when I was coming out of this bad relationship I had with my body, where I was overeating all the time, always looking forward to the next excuse to have some sugar, always looking forward to the next excuse to eat without anyone being able to rein me in. And I had kind of come out of a very didactic, I don't think it's quite the right word, a very rigid, let's say, although I was teaching myself about it, I suppose, as I did it. So a very, very disciplined, rigid way of eating. And then when I started eating poorly, it was just like I unleashed myself onto all the different things that I had kind of forbidden myself from having for so long. And I was just out of control, but I had kind of learned to enjoy life and loosen up a little bit. So now I needed to pull back enough that I could really enjoy life by not having these regrets. So what I learned to do was redefine the key experiences that were routine in my life. So parties, weddings, holidays, travel is a big one for us. We travel a lot. So how could I deeply enjoy these things, really kind of see them and savor them as marvelous experiences, just kind of the luxuries that they can be without harming my body? How could I have a big night or a big festive feeling without hurting myself, without really damaging my poor sweet body, which is desperately trying to do its best in spite of all the ways I treat it. So what I learned to do was to back up and look at what I really loved in these situations, what really made them special to me, what made them matter, what made them so much fun. And then where were the little things that were making them miserable afterward, or even sometimes miserable during it? Because if you've, been at a Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas party and you've gotten to the end and you're just so stuffed, there's no more room in you whatsoever, that's kind of a miserable feeling. It's really, I think that's miserable in the middle of it. It's certainly miserable afterwards. So I really had to back up and say, what is it that I truly enjoy here? And what is it that's harming me? And how can I rework what's harming me and make it something that actually is good for me and good for the people around me too? And in so doing, redefine that experience. So for example, in those years where I was not very good to my body, going on vacation meant, lots of meals out, kind of just letting your hair down and having an excuse to binge and to splurge and to overeat here and to give yourself a treat there. And what would happen is I would come out of these vacations heavier, exhausted, upset with myself, really unhappy about the way the whole thing had left me when it was over. But it was a vacation. It was supposed to be a delight. So why wasn't I able to truly enjoy it? And I realized I was going to have to change the way I defined a vacation in order to come out of it in a way that brought me joy and that brought my body health. So now when I head into a vacation, I don't so much focus on where am I going to eat, how can I splurge? Can I have a sweet treat over here or some sugar stuff over there? I think, okay, how can I really enjoy this experience and not have it damage any, key aspects of my health, relationally, physically, spiritually, etc., obviously. So I focus instead on, well, what clothes am I going to bring? What fun outfits am I going to pull together for this experience, wherever we're going, beach, mountains, big city. Airport lounges where you can get all of this free food and, alcohol sometimes. Instead, I'll have one glass of champagne, or I'll really enjoy the fact that I can just have this endless stream of tea or some beautiful cappuccinos, or I'll pick a couple beautiful pieces of fruit to have and to take with me. And I kind of get into that. It's almost a model mentality of what would luxury look like in this amazing experience we're currently able to enjoy from a wellness standpoint. What could I do here that would really bring my body health, and yet that would still make me feel like I'm not at all being deprived of this really cool opportunity? So my challenge to you is to look at your life and figure out where are those places where you struggle to make the right wellness decisions. And obviously this can also work with relationships or with just pretty much any other area of life, your spirituality. But right now, of course, we're focusing on this whole topic of wellness. So what's difficult for you? A lot of people say to me, well, when family's in town and we all go out for a big meal, or when somebody has a bridal shower, or there's a wedding, or we're all going to brunch, and it's really difficult for me to just not think, well, it's a celebration, so I'm going to get the pile of waffles. It's stepping back and saying, okay, where are those areas? And are they happening more frequently than I tell myself in the moment? Because often we say, this is such a special treat, but often it happens multiple times a week. There's an office birthday party, and then we're all going out for dinner on Friday night, and then there's, a brunch or lunch after church on Sunday, and then there's a vacation next week. There's so many opportunities in our incredibly blessed society to treat ourselves that it just becomes this long string of indulgences, and our bodies never really get a break to be well and to relax and kind of get back to that balanced state of wellness. So step back and look at where you can identify that you are having trouble taking good care of yourself. And then what do you really love in that situation, in that opportunity, and how can you redefine that experience? What if going to the mall or going, some people really love those big box stores. It's not really my thing, but they just love going through a big Target or a big Walmart or something. And they'll get a soda or something, or, some kind of treat, maybe a Frappuccino. And that's their definition of that experience. Now, a lot of this is subconscious. So you really have to be conscious of yourself as you're going through this. What is that definition? Is shopping necessarily mean that there's a gelato at the end of it? Does a night out with girlfriends necessarily mean you got to have 4 glasses of wine or something? What is that experience that you have subconsciously defined, and how could you redefine it? Could you go shopping and have a big, gorgeous iced coffee with a little bit of cream and no sweetener, maybe some stevia in it? Could you, go for a night out with the girls and just really nurse one gorgeous glass of red wine or champagne? Could you go on vacation and really focus on how you can get some beautiful wellness treatments instead of how many big meals you could get or how many sugar things you could get? Now, this is not easy, certainly not in America. And the world over, it varies country to country, culture to culture, but certainly in America, it can be very, very difficult to, unless you're really you're at the Ritz or something, to step into this mentality because there is so much junk around us. There's so much excess food available. There's so much just this mentality of indulge, and a lot of it is food or alcohol related. So you really do have to have that model mentality about you and seek out those ways that you can take great care of yourself in these incredible experiences. So if you brainstorm, you will find, I have no doubt, you're this brilliant, ways to redefine these experiences and really enjoy them without harming your body in any way. I want you to take this challenge. I want you to see the areas where you're struggling to take care of yourself, and I want you to have the courage to be willing to give up the things that feel like celebration, to have this greater good, this greater joy, which is a really radiantly well body, a really happy, flourishing health and wellness. You're not giving up anything, I promise you. And when you get to the other side of how fabulous it feels to be in great health, you will discover that turning down that extra glass of wine, that extra helping or extra order or dessert you didn't need to have, or just sugary dessert instead of bringing your own, or going back home and having something healthier, you will feel so much better. And every experience will truly feel like a luxury experience because you won't have that regret. It will be a pure pleasure. If you guys want to ask me if you have any situations where you need to redefine that experience and you're struggling to either figure out where it's unhealthy for you or how you could redefine it to make it healthy, feel free, of course, at any time to either write a comment on this post, to email me personally, Jackie@jackiedixon.org, or to write in the Facebook group on the Facebook wall, and I would love to help you out through a couple of those experiences. I think this is such a powerful revelation. When I first went to France, you guys know that I spent some time in Nice. If you follow my blog at all, I mention it a lot. And I gained so much weight because part of my definition of being in France was pastries. It was sugar. It was, indulgence. And it was just miserable. And I came out of that and I went through that just being so unhappy. My husband and I, though, then went back to Europe, I guess 2 years ago, for 4.5 months. And I had a totally different mentality of what it looked like to have an incredible experience in Europe and France and all these countries. And instead, I was sipping tea. I was trying to find green juice shops and health shops. I was making sure to get in my stretching and my early morning workouts before breakfast. I was making sure to get enough sleep and focusing on my style instead of my calorie splurges. And so I know that there's a way to do this, and I came out of that trip so much more joyous. I actually lost weight over that whole period, and there was just a deep sense of peace in my body during the trip and afterward. It just felt so much better. So I challenge you, find the things that are tripping you up, those areas where you need to redefine the experience to make it healthy for your body, and then figure out how you can choose just the aspects you love. It's probably just the excitement of going out, the excitement of getting dressed up, the joy of being with friends, the joy of being somewhere new and exciting. And if you focus on that and you're willing to drop the things that are actually making you miserable during and after the experience, you're just going to find that you have just this constant joy, balance, and wellness and peace about you and your body. And it is so worth it. So there's my challenge. I hope you'll accept it this week. I think you will find it's it's so life-giving for you and then for the people around you who are going to watch you and be inspired. So go out there and shine gorgeous, and I will see you next week.